Hey there, Tallahassee. Jay Revel here. Welcome to another edition of your favorite business podcast here in Florida's capital city. We like to call it nowadays the Tallahassee Business Podcast. That may sound a little fresh to your ears. It's a little fresh to us as well. Here in 2020, in this new year, we have made a slight change to our name, but you still get the great sounds of my voice and my partner in crime here, Sarah Solomon, each and every episode. Sarah, how are we doing?
Great. I'm excited to bring another year of podcasts to your ears.
Absolutely. New decade, new year, new name.
Yep.
We're feeling good. We got a new guest. We've got a new sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, for our podcast. Now when you hear me do my world-famous introduction to these, you'll also hear me mention the 223 Agency, who is going to be sponsoring our podcast for the entirety of 2020. And with us today, our guest for the show, we're going to start by talking a little bit about their new sponsorship with us, is founder and CEO of the 223 Agency, my good friend and hopefully yours, Dustin Rivest. Dustin, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm glad these 2 weeks of on and off, taking Wednesday holidays has just been brutal.
Well, and I know you understand this well because our daughters are pretty similar in age, but when you're not used to the whole hey, daycare's closed for this extended period of time or whatever, and you just kind of get sucked into the toddler vortex, and it's just
it's been rough.
Oh yeah.
I was actually
really
thinking she was going back today, but our daycare actually runs on Leon County Schools schedule, so we're
so tomorrow.
No. So Tuesday's the day. Tomorrow, thank goodness.
It's a whole new world, and it's a lot of fun though. But Dustin, for those who maybe are just hearing your name for the first time, which I imagine is a small group, but tell everybody a little bit about you, yourself, your story. How does one become founder and CEO of the 223 Agency?
Man, we'll try to keep it short, but I'm born and raised here in Tallahassee. My entire family's here. I have one uncle who lives in Rome, Georgia, so Tallahassee native, roots here. My her whole family's here as well. I went to Lincoln High School. I was a student body president there, played football and soccer, and got the opportunity for a full ride at FIU down in Miami. Was recruited by Don Strock to kick down there. That was in 2005 is when I got recruited. I was down there until 2011, and while I was there, I started a couple different businesses. One was called Tattle Texts. We were sending text message marketing to college students about deals and discounts. So that went really well. When I decided to move back to Tallahassee, I sold it down there and started it up here in Tallahassee to some FSU kids, let them run it into the ground, literally. And that's when mobile apps really started to become a big thing, and push notifications. It's a lot cheaper to send a push notification than a text message, having to pay the gateways and all the carriers. There were some pretty substantial fees back then to send those messages.
Fascinating. So we'll have to spend a whole nother day talking about you working student politics at the campus of Lincoln High School and kicking field goals and stuff. I need to get into that on another level. Maybe
that's a round of 18.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe that's a round of golf someday soon. So you crack into this app space and you decide to launch a company. Tell me about the early days there and what that was like.
Yeah, when I came back to Tallahassee, we created a company called App Innovators, and it's been App Innovators up until last year. We changed in January of 2019 to the 223 Agency. App Innovators was serving companies like Danfoss Turbo Core, Gulf Power Utilities, City Thomasville Utilities, to name a few. And then other people who come to us with business solutions needs, and we would build custom apps for them. A big majority of our audience was also associations. We were doing apps to help just with basic communications for their members. Real basic at that time. We were started to do a lot of marketing in, I'd say, 2016, 2017. Under the table, we didn't advertise it, but some of our clients asked us, hey, can you manage our social media page? Do you think you can update our website? So we kept saying yes and kept finding talent and, the projects for them. We kind of got tired of in 2018, people saying, "Oh, we didn't know you did marketing and advertising. We didn't know you did this." man, we just signed with so-and-so. We really wish we could have, had the opportunity to talk to you about it. And so we decided to change our name. We bought a building downtown at 223 West Carolina Street, and I said, I'm never going to have a name that puts me in a box again, with my services. And so we're at 223 West Carolina Street, and the name of the company is the 223 Agency. And 223 is a full-fledged digital relations company, very similar to a PR firm. We are a DR firm. We believe digital relations really soars above even public relations. If you think about where public relations is done today, it's really done, in the digital landscape. When you talk about somebody who leaves you a terrible review on Google, whether it's a competitor or a real one, how do you respond to it? An accident happens or somebody posts a bad picture of your establishment or a restaurant or a trip hazard. How are you responding? Most of the time that's digitally. And how do you strategically, get that message across when incidents do happen? Sometimes it's not responding and let it die and get a bunch of reviews to go above that. Sometimes it's, responding appropriately. So digital relations is a big thing we're going to focus on this year, and that's on, whether it's your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, your digital footprint is where we work.
No, that's very exciting, and you talked about the move you made down there to 223 West Carolina Street, a beautiful little part of town. There's some great companies co-located pretty close to you, and you've got this kind of concept, I guess we might call it, right, of creating this tech district downtown.
Absolutely.
Sort of in that space between downtown and midtown, Frenchtown not too far off. Tell us a little bit about that and what that kind of looks and feels like in your noggin moving forward.
Sure. We could have looked for a place all over Tallahassee, and we decided that downtown had the right assets for our growth. And that's where we planted our flag. And part of our branding you'll see is a little astronaut head with the flag in the background. And again, we could have went anywhere in Tallahassee, and we decided to plant our flag and plant a new direction for our business growth, and hopefully growth for that entire area. You think about the assets, the physical assets. We're in the same parking lot as Velocity or Pavlo Media. They've got a ton of fiber laid all up and down Tallahassee, but being able to take a string of fiber from their building directly across rooftop to ours definitely helps. I'd like to say we probably have some of the fastest bandwidth in Tallahassee because we're right next door to them. People don't realize, the importance of bandwidth today, but slowly they're starting to figure out it's a pretty big necessity. Being close to downtown and being close to, all the legislative stuff going on, all the associations, but then also being close to the schools. I like to say I like being downtown, but not downtown, in quotes. I'm on the other side of Tennessee Street, where most of the one-ways are connected with two-ways, so it's nice and easy to commute and to get around. But I think that whole area is about to explode. There's a lot of companies already in that area that have some sort of tech background. And we have that co-working space as well downstairs. So we have a bunch of tech companies who have moved into our building as well.
If you could kind of see the future for that space, what would you hope that it would look like in the next maybe 10 years, that tech district?
Yeah, I really think it would be a place where people identify as, if you want a job or you want to work in the tech industry, whether you want to be a developer or you just want to be an office receptionist or an account executive, where do you go if you want to work at a tech company? And right now we don't have that establishment in Tallahassee. I wouldn't say that it's Summit East. I wouldn't say that it's Railroad Square area or downtown. I mean, it's not defined. It's not Innovation Park. That's more R&D and research. So we think that there's office space available in the district, in that little 20-block area we talked about, from Tennessee Street to Monroe to Macomb and MLK. There's a lot of open vacancy there, a lot of land that's ready for development there. You look at what the new Envision Credit Union just put up there. I think it's 40 North Apartments. Hopefully that starts. All that's right there inside of the tech district. So a lot of new development can happen down there. There's room for growth. I think it's the next Midtown. Midtown took, 9-10 years?
Yeah.
You helped start that.
Years.
Is it 10?
I know,
And so we'll say that we're on, going on year 2 here with the tech district. But by the time we get to to year 10, I think there'll be some substantial developments in that area.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of momentum for sure, and good things do take time, but they are happening. I mean, to your point, you've got a lot of congregation of assets down there happening in that area, and it's pretty too. I mean, it's a nice, enjoyable part of town to be in. You can hoof it over to places like Birds and either sing some karaoke or get a really good burger or some oysters or whatever, right?
I don't know about the karaoke, but I'll take the oysters.
Karaoke is one of my, fortes in the world. So, I know the spots. I'm just saying. Dustin, talk to us a little bit. You were talking about digital relations and just trends in that space. What are some of the big things that are happening out there in the world today that, if Sarah and I were your clients, or if someone's listening to the show today that, hey, maybe they're scratching their head and they feel a little lost and they're trying to figure out where their company needs to be going, what are the things you're telling folks? The free advice segment of the podcast here. What are you letting people know about where things are headed in the digital space?
I think what a lot of people are taking for granted is the fact that their digital footprint is being looked at as an extension of their services these days. If your website is terrible and it loads slow, or it's not mobile responsive, or doesn't have a SSL certificate, so it's not secure, when somebody searches you on Google or finds you on Facebook and they click on it and they're like, is this real? Like, are they still even in business? You'd be surprised how many people in Tallahassee, their website's just not even optimized for mobile use. So it's things like that people don't realize. Again, things might be doing good, and business is good. So they're, why do I need to worry about my website? If it's not broke, don't fix it. You don't know how broke it really is and what you're really missing out on. And so even when it's like having a Facebook page and there's no content on it. Like, why even have it? It looks worse that you have one and you're not giving it the attention. Is that how you're gonna feel about my body shop? I got all these cars in a parking lot, but I'm not working on any of them. Like, it's one of those things to where you have to maintain these things. It's not hard to maintain, but it's better to not have it.
Yeah, it just takes effort.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes a regular gardening, right? I mean, it's not anything that's out of this world difficult, but you do have to tend to it pretty much every day.
You do, and reviews are another big thing. 2/3 of your marketing is happening without you. Word of mouth and reviews. It's crazy, and so making sure that you're aware of the review platforms. People don't realize how big Yelp is. Mm-hmm. Yelp really started out with just mainly food and nightclubs and bar establishment, like dining and entertainment type stuff. But since Apple integrated with Yelp, if you search for Joe's Crab Shack on your iPhone, it's going to pop up their Yelp page. It's going to pull the reviews from Yelp. And the bad part is most people have been to Yelp, most people that have a Yelp page have a bad review on there because that's where people used to go and complain a lot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so are you pushing customers to give you a review on Yelp, or are you just telling them to go to Google, or are you just telling them to go to Facebook? Are you not giving Yelp any attention? And it's important. Apple has made it important. I'd say another major thing is the voice recognition. Mm-hmm. We're in 2020, and the stat that I read last year was, by 2020, 50% of all searches are going to be voice search.
Oh, wow.
Whether it's Siri or Alexa, you can do it from your computer, your iPad, your phone. People are using voice search, even in your cars. You got CarPlay.
Especially there. I mean, you got laws now.
Exactly.
Literally just kicked in here in Florida. I mean, you can't even touch your.
Mm-hmm.
your
think about
device.
the easiest example to talk about is like if you're a gluten-free pizza restaurant. And
I go to those all the time.
Oh, me too, buddy. If it says, if you asked Siri, hey, find me a gluten-free pizza restaurant. But if you're a gluten-free pizza restaurant, you don't have the right meta tags and data set up on your website and on your online directories. How can it make that recommendation?
Absolutely.
It can't.
Right.
And so if your services aren't categorized right on the multiple directories, you're never going to be found. Again, it's not difficult, but it does take effort.
Oh, yeah.
All the effort that you put in for all of your clients, when you think about it kind of as one big piece, it just seems like so much. But on that note, can you kind of talk to us a little bit about your staff and who you have behind the scenes working for all your clients on all these different things that you do?
Absolutely. I've always been the type of person to build the team and then find the work. I've found that way has worked better for me and seen that it hasn't worked so well for others in the past. And I think I've assembled a pretty rock star team. We have about 15 employees. You have me, and then you have Jim Hunt, who's one of our director of business relations. We just brought on Alan Hanstein, TJ Hunter, and Javier Lopez as one of our, those are all of our partners in the company. Below them we have content creators, graphic designers, UI UX designers. We have 2 videographers, a photographer on staff, website developers, website designers, you name it. We have the resources. So it's one of those things to where we haven't really come across anybody that's asked for something we couldn't really handle. And then on top of that, our team's just really been able to foster an internship program. Like I've never heard of anybody else in Tallahassee being able to handle 20 interns in a semester. It's a heck of a lift. It's nothing I've done. It's been everything that my team's done. But these kids are really seeing the value. We'll go to an FCC, or is it FCCI, or no, CCI, College Communications
Right.
Information intern fair, and literally we'll do that once a year, and we'll get 50 applicants. And that's just because of the word of mouth from previous semester of students, and it's been tremendous. We've actually hired 3 or 4 last semester out of that, and we actually have 5 from last semester that want to intern again this semester. So,
Wow.
If that says anything about our staff and the culture there, I think that speaks pretty big volumes.
Yeah, that's fabulous, and and that's very important. We talk a lot about. We had Corey Melton from our team on the show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about talent retention and the systematic approach that we need to build in this community to showing people pathways to progressing their career here. I mean, and your company's doing that right there on the front lines, and it matters tremendously because not only does that word of mouth about your company have an impact on them, but their word of mouth about your company and our community reaches their friends' ears, reaches their other colleagues that are trying to just get their career started. And we need people talking about positive experiences here in Tallahassee, and it matters a lot. One of the things when you were talking earlier about voice recognition and other things, I think about the importance of brand, and I think about the modern world where companies are investing just thousands and thousands of dollars, some on the national level, millions of dollars in content creation. What kind of things are you doing for clients in that kind of space that people should be aware of?
Yeah, I think it's all about consistency in making sure that your brand is portrayed the right way. We use a lot of retargeting for our clients. And retargeting simply is when somebody comes to your website, a little pixel is installed, and then they your brand or your message or your ad is followed, whether it's on Fox News or CNN or Tallahassee Democrat Online, wherever it's at. And we don't look at it as really, they're definitely in the ad space, but we're not really trying to display an ad for most of our clients. It's more about continued strategic positioning, making sure that, we'll do an example. If you're looking for, a brand new AC, you're probably calling 2 or 3 AC guys, or a new roof, or a new fence. You're probably calling multiple and get multiple quotes. And so it means you've probably been to their websites. Well, when it's time to make a decision, all the prices are probably close. Which one's on the tip of your tongue? Which one have you seen consistently over the past 30 days while you and your wife have been, you and your significant other have been trying to make that decision? Which brand has stood out the most? Mm-hmm. And so we always want to look at it from the consumer's eyes, and how they're experiencing our brand and our message for our clients. And so that's really what we kind of focus on, is how the end user is going to communicate with us, and how do they view our clients.
We've talked a lot about digital relations and kind of your work across digital marketing and all that space, but let's go back to your roots for a minute and talk about apps. So we have kind of an example of an app that you've worked on as a chamber conference app, which many of our listeners have probably used, but can you walk us through a little bit about the app space. What do you do there for clients?
Absolutely. So in the custom app space, a client will come to us, and again, they'll have a business need, whether it's to increase efficiency in something, or they have just a product they want to build. So we'll do that. Or sometimes we'll have companies, again, like Gulf Power Utilities says, hey, we need a new mobile app built, and we'll work with them to get their app built. Or Danfoss Turbocore. It was great to work with Danfoss, and actually the chamber is the one who got us that connection. I guess there was a chirp going around that they were looking for an app development company, and the chamber, stuck their arm out and said, "Hey, we know some folks," and got us that introduction.
That's what we do best, right there.
That's
Relationships.
absolutely what y'all do. All about that relationship. And so, in the last year, we've developed 2 apps for them. We've worked with their teams in Denmark, in Shanghai, in Sydney, and over here in the United States. And it's really cool to see, on a giant corporate level, how
You're global, baby.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we were the other day scratching our heads at, translating our app into Mandarin because they had a huge conference going on in Asia. It was very cool. It was pretty cool to see that happen. And thank goodness we had the right people to do it. But it's trying to line up time zones with all these different people, and you have somebody who's testing it in Sydney, Australia, but it's being uploaded and the coding's being uploaded in Denmark and getting permissions. There's a lot of hands in that fire, but it's really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of the event application portion of your business, why don't you jump in? You got a whole subsidiary there that's big. You brought on a tremendous talent, Alan Hanstein, well known across the community, right? He's kind of hashtag Facebook famous, I guess you'd say,
yeah,
right?
I think he's Facebook famous. Nobody knows what Alan does, and if you don't know, he works for Event Owl now.
Right, he works for you.
I think that's been the joke of the past probably 10 years is everybody's like, what does Alan do? Like they see all of his posts everywhere, from SpaceX to the Challenger Center to being at this conference in Vegas and up in New York. It's like, what does Alan do? It's almost like where's Waldo? But we were able to bring on Alan. He's been in the event space for 30 plus years. He started his own event registration company. I think he was working for his own company for about 5 years and then sold it to a fellow up in New York City, and then continued working for him for another 25 years in the event registration space. So he's really well known in just the event space alone, and coming on board to Event Owl, where apps are really kind of taking over that event space. We don't do any event registration, so there was no competition there, but it's just a different, same industry, different path, new and exciting path, and he's been able to really just bring that wealth of experience and wisdom to help us elevate that product. And we really took our first step with Event Owl with the chamber. I mentioned for App Innovators, we were doing event apps for conferences. For associations under the App Innovators name. And we decided one day, let's try something different. Maybe we can try it with the chamber. And so we slowly built out something with the chamber, and we're like, we're onto something here. Let's give it its own name. Let's create its own business and start working off of that. And it's turned into a software that has had hundreds of events, thousands of exhibitors and attendees, and it's just really taken off big time with associations and big time trade shows. We're headed down to Orlando next week for these acronyms get crazy, but the Florida Podiatric Medical Association, the Feet Association or something like that. But
if that thing doesn't spell out foot somehow,
golly, but everything from like Florida Healthcare Association to builders and stuff like that. So it's a software as a service that allows these associations to really generate a lot of non-dues revenue through sponsorships. But at its core, it's all about having better engagement and conversations with their membership and just keeping that communication up, whether it's about advocacy or just general information and continuing education.
That's great. Right now, we are a few days into 2020. We're looking forward to a new year of the podcast, especially with you as our sponsor, so we appreciate that. But is there anything that you are looking forward to the most in the upcoming year? What can we expect from you in 2020?
I think you're going to hear a lot about Event Owl. It's going to be one of those companies, I think, that the end goal is obviously an acquisition by a big player. But I really feel we've been doing this for almost 4 years, and it's a zero debt company. We don't have any investors in it, and so it's been bootstrapped, and we've gained clients and gained notoriety. And I think it's something that you're definitely going to hear more about on the Event Owl side. On the app side, you'll see Event Owl, I think, right and left. On the 223 side, digital relations. It's all about digital relations and how people can respond. We're going to be doing a lot of free training and webinars and stuff like that so we can help people. We know not everybody can afford our services, and maybe they don't need our services. They just need a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance, and so we want to be able to provide that to the community that's provided so much to us.
So if folks want to find out more about all of those services, your great company, your team, where should we send them?
If you want to find out more information, it's simple, 223agency.com, or if you're interested in the event software, EventOwl, it's simple, eventowl.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that jazzy stuff, but definitely our website would be our go-to, eventowl.com and 223agency.com.
And folks, your sponsor will be linked below.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll be able to learn a lot more in the show notes. Well, Dustin, what a wonderful way to kick off a new year, a new decade, a new name for the podcast. Mm-hmm. Folks, if you weren't paying attention earlier, it's the Tallahassee Business Podcast, presented by our good friends at the 223 Agency. You'll be hearing lots more from Dustin and their team throughout 2020. Still getting used to saying that, getting used to saying a lot of this good stuff. But we got a great year ahead. We're going to have a tremendous amount of wonderful guests throughout the year here, brought to you for your listening enjoyment. And folks, our ask of you in the year ahead is to tell your friends about the show. Leave us a review. Give us 5 stars, we hope. We hope we've earned that from you. But we want you to go out and tell the world you know about the Tallahassee Business Podcast and give folks a new opportunity to learn something about their community and the people who are making our community great, like Dustin and his team each and every day. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you staying with us here into a new year. And we think we're going to have some really fun times with some great guests. And, of course, we've got a wonderful sponsor with our friends at the 223 Agency. Dustin, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Hope you'll subscribe and hope you'll leave us a great review. Know you will, especially for this episode.
Sure.
And Sarah, thanks for all you do.
Of course. Happy 2020.
You got it. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you real soon. As always, be sure to visit www.talchamber.com. That's talchamber.com for all your chamber needs and understanding what's going on in the business community here in Tallahassee, Florida. Thanks for listening.